everyone, this is Hannah from Wonderful Woodlands, and today we are going to be learning not just one knit stitch, but an entire pattern. We're going to make a cute little leaf today. Now this pattern is suitable for beginners, so if you have never knit before and you're brand new to knitting, stick with us because we're only going to use easy stitches from our absolute beginner collection. So let's dive right in and get started. I'm using right here, this is Lion Brand 24/7 cotton yarn and grass. I'll link to this in the description, and I'm using a single pointed needle size 7 in aluminum, and I'll link to those in the description as well. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cast on 3 stitches. To cast on stitches, the first thing we're going to do is make a slip knot. So you're going to have one tail on one side and the other tail on the other side. Then you're going to twist so that you have one loop here, and then you're going to catch your long tail here through the loop and pull it tight to make a little slip knot for you. We're going to thread this onto the needle, and then we're going to do our knit cast on method here. So you're going to take your second needle, it's going to go through the same loop that your first needle is going through. So both needles are going through the same loop right here. We're going to take not our short tail of yarn. You're going to leave your short tail of yarn just hanging here. You're going to take your longer tail over here. We're going to wrap it around the bottom needle like here. Then we're going to pull it through and catch it on the bottom right like this. And then we're going to slide this up and pass it back onto our first needle. So now our first needle has 2 stitches. And then we'll tighten this up a little bit instead of just one, so you can see stitch number 1 and stitch number 2. And we only need 3 stitches to get this pattern started, which is great. So we're just going to do this one more time and then we'll get started knitting. So we're going to take our longer end of yarn here. We're going to make our loop. We're going to pass that around. We're going to catch it on the bottom side, and then we're going to slide this up onto this needle. And we have just cast on 3 stitches. And that's all we need for this pattern. So now we're going to keep going with the rest of the pattern. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to make an I-cord over 8 rows. We're going to do this using a knit stitch, which is actually the exact same stitch that we just learned from our cast on method. So you're going to take your right hand needle. It's going to slide through the first stitch on your needle. So both needles are going through the same stitch. You're going to take your working yarn, this is your longer tail of yarn, you're going to wrap it around the tip of the needle, catch the stitch, and then slide that stitch off the end of your needle. Let's do that again. You're going to slide your needle through the stitch, wrap your yarn around, catch your stitch, and slide the stitch off the end of the needle. Needle through, wrap your yarn around, catch your stitch, and then slide it off. And then to make this an I-cord, we're going to slip these stitches back onto our left-hand needle. Oftentimes when we knit, we'll turn our stitches, which is going to give us a flat piece of work, but an I-cord is round. So to make it go around in a circle, we have to slip these stitches back from the right needle to the left needle. Let's do this again. So we're going to knit 3 stitches. This is row number 2. And we're going to go knit 1, knit 2, and knit 3. And then we're going to slip our stitches back. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to knit 1, knit 2, and knit 3. This is row 3. Let's do it again. Slip your stitches back. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to knit. This is row 4. 1, 2, 3. Slip your stitches back. 1, 2, 3. This is row 5. Knit 1, knit 2, knit 3, So let's stop and look at this real quick. You can see we have stitches going all the way around in a circle here. So this is making a cord instead of a flat piece of work like I mentioned at the beginning. Slip these back. This is row 6. 1, 2, 3. If you forget how far you've gone, I'll show you how to count your stitches real quick. Each one of these little V's here is a row. We have 1 right here. This one's a little wobbly at the bottom, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's number 6. We're gonna slide these back and then we'll do rows 7 and 8. So 1, 2, and 3. And then we're gonna knit 1, 2, 3. That's row 7 and last row. Slip these back and we're gonna knit 1, 2, and 3. And that is our 8-row I-cord. Now we're gonna start turning our needle every time we work instead of slipping our stitches back and forth. So we're gonna flip this around. So now this needle is gonna be our working yarn here. Now for row 1 of our leaf, we're gonna knit our first stitch. There we go. So we're gonna knit 1, same as we've been doing. Wrap the yarn around, catch the stitch, slide the needle off. Then we're gonna do what's called a yarn over. So we're gonna bring this working yarn here and we're gonna make 1 loop around our right hand needle. Then we're gonna knit another stitch. So you have this extra loop in here, but you're still just gonna do the same motion to knit. So you're gonna bring your yarn around, you're gonna slide it under, catch it, and then slide that stitch off, and see how that created an extra stitch for us. So we now have our first stitch, we have our yarn over, and then we have our second stitch. We're gonna do another yarn over here. So you're gonna bring the yarn around in a loop again, and then we're gonna knit our final stitch. So yarn overs are a really easy way to increase your stitch count. So now we just went from 3 stitches to 5 stitches. So now for our second row, for our even row, we're just gonna knit all the way across. And for all of our even rows in this pattern, we're just gonna do a straight row of knitting. So we're gonna knit 5, we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, and all the yarn overs, I didn't mention this. You'll see the yarn overs have a bigger hole here than your regular knit stitches. You're just gonna knit into them like a normal stitch, and they are gonna create a hole in your work. It creates some texture and pattern for you. So as this gets a little longer, our leaf will have some little holes in it, which is cute. It creates a nice texture for your leaf. But if those stitches feel a little bit loose, it doesn't mean you did something wrong. The yarn over stitches are supposed to feel a little bit loose. Okay, so that was row 2, that was our knit row. Now for row 3, we're gonna knit our first 2 stitches. We're gonna go knit 1 and knit 2. Then we're gonna do a yarn over. So you're gonna wrap your yarn around. We're gonna knit 1. We're gonna do another yarn over. So wrap your yarn around, and then we're gonna knit 2. Knit 1, knit 2. Then we're gonna flip our work over. Then this is our even row. This is row number 4. So we're gonna knit all the way across. Knit 1, knit 2. This is our yarn over stitch, so it's gonna be a little bit looser. Knit 3, knit 4, knit 5, knit 6, knit 7. So we have 7 stitches now. Then row 5. Now we're gonna knit our first 3 stitches. Knit 1, knit 2, knit 3, then we're going to do a yarn over, then we're going to knit 4, then we're going to do another yarn over, and then we're going to knit 1, 2, and 3. All right, now we're gonna flip our work over. So we have, how many stitches? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're gonna knit 9 stitches. Knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Let me get some more yarn here. Okay, row 7, we're gonna knit 4. Knit 1, knit 2, knit 3, and knit 4. Then we're gonna do a yarn over, then we're gonna knit 1, then we're gonna do a yarn over, and then we're gonna knit 1, 2, 3, and 4. Turn your work over. We're gonna knit 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, this is our last row, increasing stitches. So you can see our leaf starting to form here. We've been increasing stitches every row, which creates this rounding here. That's going to be the bottom of our leaf. So flip it over. This is our last row to increase stitches on. So we're going to knit 5 to start with. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're going to yarn over. Bring your yarn around. We're going to knit 1. We're going to yarn over. Okay, yarn over. And then we're going to knit 5. Knit 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're on an even row, so we're still going to flip our work over and we're going to knit all the way across here. So we have 13 stitches. We're going to knit, and then we're going to start our decrease rounds after this. So we're going to knit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. Okay, we are more than halfway done. You're almost there. Stay with me. Okay, so we're gonna flip our work over. Now we're gonna start decreasing. So we're gonna learn 2 decreasing stitches on this round. They're both really, really easy. The first one we're gonna do is a knit 2 together through the back loops. So normally when we've been knitting, we've been going through this front loop right here. Now you're gonna go through the back loops, but we're gonna go through 2 loops at the same time so that we can knit 2 stitches together. So this needle is gonna go through this first loop here and this second loop right here. And then we're gonna take our yarn. We're gonna wrap it around exactly the same as we have been for all of our other knit stitches. You're gonna catch your loop right here on the front side, and then you're gonna slide 2 stitches off the end. Then we're gonna knit 9. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, And then we're gonna knit 2 together. So we'll take these 2 stitches, instead of just going through 1 stitch to knit, we're gonna go through 2 from the front. So you'll go through the left one first, and you'll go through this one, and then you'll go through this one too. So you have both needles going through both stitches right now. Then you're gonna wrap your yarn around here, catch it on the front side, and slide both loops off the end. And that's your knit 2 together stitch. Okay, then we're gonna flip our work around. Let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we're gonna knit just like we've been doing. We're just gonna knit all of our stitches in this round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, then we're gonna flip our work over. Okay, we're gonna do the same 2 stitches that we did last time. So we're gonna do a knit 2 together through the back loops. So you're gonna catch the first loop and the second loop. There we go. Make sure your yarn is kind of coming off the front here. Make sure you're not wrapping around from the front, but the yarn is actually gonna go behind the needle here. Otherwise, you're gonna end up with an extra loop on your needle. So wrap the yarn around here, catch it, and then slide both stitches off. And then we're gonna knit 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then we're gonna knit 2 together through the front loop. So we're just gonna go through the left stitch first, the right stitch second, get the needle through both of them, wrap the yarn around, catch the loop, and slide both stitches off. Flip your work. We're gonna knit all the way across, just regular knit stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay, flip your yarn over. We're gonna knit 2 together through the back loops. So you're gonna go through the first stitch and the second stitch. Remember, bring your yarn to the back here. Wrap your yarn around, catch your loop, and slide both stitches off. Then we're gonna knit 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're gonna knit 2 together through the front loops. So we're gonna go through, make sure, I mentioned this before, but make sure you're going through the loop that's on the needle. It can be really easy to catch these loops that are down below. Your stitches aren't gonna look right if you catch the stitch below the needle. So you wanna make sure you're going through the loop that's actually sitting on the needle. Knit 2 together, bring the yarn around, catch the loop, and slide both stitches off the needle. Okay, flip your work around. We're gonna knit all the way across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches. The reason we do a knit 2 together through the back loops and a knit 2 together through the front loops is because the knit 2 together through the back loops leans to the left, and the knit 2 together through the front loops leans to the right. So when we have a leaf like this and we have one side is going to be the right side and one side is going to be the left side, alternating and using 2 different knit 2 together stitches is going to give our leaf, it's going to make the shape look a little bit more natural. So the stitches on this side are leaning, oops, my hand is too close, this way, and then the stitches on this side over here are leaning this way, and so it kind of gives the shape, the leaf, a really nice natural shape to it. So just a note on why we're using 2 different decreased stitches and not the same stitch on both sides. Where are we? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stitches. So now we're on row 17. We are gonna do a knit 2 together through the back loops like we've been doing. So loop number 1 and loop number 2, wrap your yarn around, catch your stitch, slide it off. Then we're gonna knit 1, we're knitting 3. 1, 2, 3. Then we're gonna knit 2 together through the front loops. Oop, they're a little tight if I can get them. There we go. Got both of them. Yarn around, catch your stitch and slide it off. With 5 stitches, so we're gonna knit 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Flip it around. Okay, this is our last, it's not our last decrease row, but it's our last decrease row before we bind off. So we're gonna knit 2 together through the back loops. Okay, remember, going through the back loops here, yarn around, catch your stitch. We're just gonna knit 1, and then we're gonna knit 2 together through the front loops. So we're down to 3 stitches here. Row 20, we're gonna knit all the way across. 1, 2, 3. And then we're gonna turn it around. This is our last row here. So traditionally this would be a bind off row, but because we wanna give our work a little bit of a point to it, and not just a straight, a bind off would just create, it'd be like we cut the leaf off at the tip and we wanna give it a point. So we're gonna knit our first stitch, regular knit stitch. Then we're gonna do a knit 2 together stitch. So you're gonna knit 2 through both of these right here. From the front, not from the back, just a regular knit 2 together stitch. Yarn around, catch the stitch. And then we're gonna do what's called a bind off stitch for just this last stitch. So we're gonna take the right stitch, you're just gonna catch it with the tip of your needle, and you're gonna pull it over the left stitch here so that you only have 1 stitch left. Now, pull this so it's really nice and long. You don't want this to pull out because if you pull this stitch out, your whole work's gonna unravel. Okay, so I have a really long loop here. I'm gonna cut a couple inches of a tail. So trim this end over here, and then you're gonna take your tail and you're gonna pull it through the loop. That'll make a knot in the loop so that your work doesn't pull out. And you can see you have a cute little leaf here. And then the last thing we're gonna do is we're gonna weave our ends in. So to weave our ends in, we're gonna be working with a little yarn needle here. We're gonna do both sides, but we'll do the top end first. So you wanna catch your end and you're gonna weave it or thread it through the needle. And then when we weave in ends, we work with what's called the rule of 3s. So we're gonna do 3 stitches in 3 different directions. So you're gonna weave your work here, or you're gonna thread your needle here through 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3. We'll go down first. This is gonna keep your work from pulling out. Then we're gonna go up through 3 stitches. So we'll go 1, 2, any 3 stitches that you want. 3. And then we're gonna go back down through 3 more stitches. 1, 2, 3. And once we've done 3 stitches in 3 different directions, our work is pretty secure and we can be confident that it's not going to pull out. So this one is good. We're going to trim this one here. And then we're going to do the bottom one. This one's a little bit different because we have an I-cord on the bottom. So we're going to thread it through the I-cord and then we'll do our, we'll do a couple directions up in the body part of the leaf. So first, to get it through this I-cord, I'm going to go here. So I'm just going to follow these stitches to bring this up the I-cord with me. And you can see how this kind of hides it, so you can't really see. You just go through from the edge here and you can't really see So that, we just threaded up the I-cord and you can't even really see it, which is great. Now we're gonna do, we want to avoid these eyelet. These are called eyelets. These are the yarn overs that we did, created these holes, which is really cute for our leaf, but we want to avoid these in weaving our tail in because we don't want to see it. So let's go up the edge instead here. We'll go through 1 and 2 and 3. We'll kind of go over this way. Whoops. And we're gonna go up a little. Normally I just do 3 stitches, but for this one we're gonna go up a little bit higher so that we have room to go back down. So that was, we'll call that our first row. We'll do this as our second row. We'll get 3 stitches here. And then for our third row, we'll go up here, 1, 2, 3. And then we can trim our end here. Always make sure you weave your ends in on the same side. You don't want to weave in one end on this side and one end on this side because you want to have one side that's your front side. So since I wove my ends in on this side, it's really hard to see them, but we'll still call this the back side. So when we flip it over, we'll call this the front side of our leaf. So congratulations, you just made a leaf, your very first knitting pattern. I'll link to all the stitches that we used in the description below so that if you need to go back and watch any of them in slow motion, you can. But great job today, and we'll do some more patterns coming up in future episodes. If you liked today's video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you again next time.